Well, let's give folks another minute or two, and I'm going to sort of change it up on today's call because I don't have the focus and the hand control to keep going on my little hinges. So I'm going to go back to our roots and talk about design and go over the box of unfinished things and see where we stand, because man, there seems to be still a lot of projects in it. I thought I'd been chipping away at it, but and I'm going to talk about some of my thought process when I'm in mid-season and what the business decisions are versus the fun exercises and being at the bench and that sort of stuff. So, but before we do that, do either of you have anything you want to share or ideate on?
I found my torch and haven't used it. I can't get, I don't know what it is. I just can't get in it.
Yeah, just not feeling the vibe.
Yeah, and I hate to bring it up, but I'm a retired government employee, and the world's got me really. I have to worry about people who worked for me.
Yep, it's unbelievably traumatic for everybody. Some people much worse, some people much better, but anybody who says that they're not impacted by what's going on in the world is lying to themselves. There's just too much overwhelm for our systems to handle it.
Yeah, and I really should be out there hammering because that would relieve some stress.
Yeah, finding the creative when you're in the depths of that overwhelm can be really challenging, but it can also be incredibly productive, even if it's not product productive, meaning it gives your brain a break. Like taking a class was one of the best things I could do to give my brain a break. It was I could pretend the world was this one little bench that I was sitting at for a few hours, which is horrible to have to do, and not, if I were doing it every day and escapism was the norm, I'd be worried. But just giving your brain a chance to think elsewhere, even if you don't finish the product that you were working on, it just resets things. I've actually started. I'm a big list maker because if I don't put it on paper, I'm not going to remember to do it. And I've put 3 new bullet points this year on my everyday to-do list, and that is read, sing, and fight. And whatever that means to me on the given day, I don't have to berate myself if I don't get to all 3 of them. Hello, Sonia. But just remembering that I can do things that are every day and I can keep moving forward. And just having them there and making sure that even if it's like 30 seconds of read, sing, or fight, like I was singing to myself as I was setting up for today because I had the music on in the background. And it's, that and less doom scrolling sort of kicked me back into being able to start working on things. And but it's not, I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying maybe not quite force yourself in, but see if you can just sit down at the bench and doodle, or sit down, sketch pad, or some other act of sitting in front of the television and just having your hands busy with something. Sorting your stones and your materials.
Now that needs to be done.
Yeah, but even that act of organizing makes sense of your tiny pocket in the world in the moment, and it can start you going again. And maybe that's part of why I am where I am today on wanting to not be making, but be talking about process and design and so on, because I'm at a strange intersection right now of, I think I've told you all that I had some pieces accepted to a museum show, but it's going to be 9 months away. And I have one more show before, it's going to be for 9 months. So I will not have those pieces. And so I sort of went into panic mode when I realized I hadn't known I was going to be without them for more than a month. And I started designing all the things that would fill the gap. And you'll see that on this bench when I show you. But what it means is I have done a whole lot of halfway to what I need to do and not a lot of clean finishing. And those are deadlines that I need to, like, they aren't hard deadlines because I could live without my big centerpieces, but I would like to have replacement centerpieces, one, to get new photography, two, to get new work out there and some variety in the themes that I've been working on, but also three, so that I do have a focal point on my bench when I mean on my table when I'm selling. Um, and I like making the big pieces. Those are interesting and fun to me. And I have enough of my other inventory, except in a couple gap areas that I'll talk about when we're looking at the work, um, that to be able to allow myself the luxury of both accomplishing something for the work and playing, because I'm creating something big, something that I don't think too much about who is my customer when I'm doing the big scale stuff. I just think about what do I want to be making, and that's a pretty happy creative place to be once you let yourself be there. Not worrying about what price point am I aiming for, not worrying about, um, is it for everyone? Is it an everyday piece? No, it is intended to be something out there and beyond the everyday. Um, so I'll show some of those in progress pieces right now when we get to it. But before we do that, does anybody have work they want to show? Did you get, Carmen, did you get your stands built in a way that make you happy for your little,
Oh
you
yeah,
did? And
yeah.
you had a
They're
show
all
with them?
packed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how did the show go?
I
Didn't you
think
have
it
them
went
for a gallery event?
fabulous. I mean,
Okay.
because it was like I just felt like it was a one woman show within everybody else, and I curated it. I had my friends who supported me. I custom made backdrops and I did some really cool pedestals. Everything was highly either sanded or polished, or I sprayed the little balls and it looked fabulous. I got
Good. Did you get
lights
good
and
photos?
everything like that. So I'm very happy on for that end of it in terms of sales. A few sculptures and some of my drawings sold.
Nice.
And first time ever, the actual event gave the artists and the artisan at like $250 rebate from the booth. So
Wow.
overall, I think overall it went well for me. You know,
Good.
a
Did you
lot
get
of work.
photos, I
I
hope?
don't. Oh yeah, tons of photos,
Okay.
tons of
Okay. I want to see
photos.
some of those. That's super cool.
Okay, I'll
And
send you some.
remind us where it was.
The other art fair, it's in Chicago, but they're in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
they're in London, they're in Sweden. It's through Saatchi Art.
Okay.
And so the section I was in was called Artisan Et, which is a new section. So I was able to show some of my big medallions with my sculpture and my drawings. And then you had ceramics and weavers and stained glass.
Yeah.
That section was more like when you do the high-end fine art shows, that was curated that way. And then the other section was primarily painting, a lot of painting, watercolor, that kind of art.
Nice.
Industrial. I mean, lighting is really big right now for some reason, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very young. It's a young, you know, atmosphere, which is fun.
Cool.
So they have DJs going on, food, cocktails. I'm not
Sweet.
used to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sonia, Renee,
Something
you
to
got
look
anything going
into.
on? Yeah. Yeah. I know, Renee, you're not working with your torch yet, even though you found it, but are you doing anything else creative? Or is it all tucked away right now?
Everything's kind of stashed everywhere. So you're right. That
Yeah.
would be the thing I really should be doing is doing my unfinished box.
Yeah, absolutely. When I get stuck, it's usually because my space is too messy. Like I spent a couple of hours yesterday cleaning the studio because I'd come back from two shows or show in and a class, and my stuff was everywhere. My tools weren't where I expected them to be, and every time I sat down to do any work, I'd get something done and then get distracted by something that wasn't in the right place. So sometimes it's just about the organizing. And Sonia, we haven't seen
Yes.
you in a while. What you been up to? You there? No, Sonia, right now? She may have stepped away. Okay, well, I'm gonna show you what I've got going on, and we can always talk more as we go through some things, but I have to spotlight myself. Where's my spotlight? Where's my spotlight? Where is the camera? Are you not seeing? Oh, where's your camera, Sonia? You have stuff
I
to
got
say?
it.
Ah,
I got it.
good.
Okay,
Hang on, you got stuff
so yes, I had the first solo show, and it went really good. I mean, I still have a
Yeah.
lot to polish, but it was great. I loved it. It was oh gosh, the market. It's called, Unique Market. And it's curated, which I thought, oh God, I was honored. But it was wonderful, and I want, I want to thank everybody who say, okay, you can do it. So that's it.
Nice. So that was recently, or you have it coming up?
No, it was just on the 29th. The 29th and the 30th. It was 2 days here in Los Angeles.
And what kind of work were you showing? Was it your whole jewelry collection? Were there other things?
No, everything I had, and I had a few. I mean, I had a piece that it was forever sitting there, and finally it went.
Excellent. Yeah, sometimes it just needs to wait around until it finds the right person. Very cool.
I know, but
So are
I
you?
had to work really hard on
Yeah.
finishing it. I mean, it was nightmarish to finish it.
But
So,
you did, and it was worth doing because somebody was there to buy it. That's great.
absolutely. And Carmen was very enthusiastic about my stuff, but
Oh, you saw the show?
no,
Carmen,
she
you
was
visited
didn't
the show?
posting.
see it herself,
cool.
but she
Okay,
saw a few
okay.
pieces. Where's
Yeah.
my? Anyways, yeah, that's it.
Nice. Okay, so what I have laid out tonight is, let me see, where's my spotlight for everyone? All my cameras are pointing at my table, and I'm going to move a few of them around just so that we can get the best angles that we can. Let me get my big fancy camera close. Whoops, unplug something. No, there it is. It's just being finicky. So, do the one that I can zoom and pull across, and then we'll keep it going. So you may remember from our very early session, our first session, I had stuff laid out just like this. I think I might have had 2 tables, I can't remember. But this is what's left of the major projects. This isn't 100% of it. There's a bunch of little things like, I've got some rings framed up for some production work and so on. But what's left is, I realized as I was putting it out today, is mostly large scale work. Not exclusively, I've got a couple small repair pieces and so on. But as a reminder, or even if you weren't here for the first session, one of the reasons I do this exercise is because I can then mark the pieces up. I can make some decisions about them, and seeing them all together sort of makes me think about my own voice in the work. Is it in keeping with the work that I'm doing now in particular? Or if I really am grimacing at it every time I look at the piece, what does that mean? What do I want or don't want out of the work? So part of why I put it all out, or almost all out, is that organizational factor and prioritization. And so the last time when I did this, I was doing very basic classifications. I was thinking about, is this piece design blocked? Is it materials blocked? Is it technique or skills blocked? Is it just that I can't stand it? Do I want to recover the materials and do something more interesting with it? Those were the kinds of categories I put it into. And today they're broadly classified that way with a couple, I put extra notes on them as I was tagging them. Some of that is about reminding me of priorities. right? So said that this is both a practical for working on the work, but also more practically, I need to think about whether I have any deadlines or projects. So of course, any custom work has to come top priority based on whatever deadlines I've set. But also, I've got a show that I want to put a piece in for the man who did a lot of the mokume design, mokume gane patterning in the world. Phil Baldwin, you might have used his Baldwin's patina. I realize I'm talking at you as if you're seeing me, and you're not right now. So I'm working on what do I want for that piece, and that has a fairly new deadline. I've got a couple months at most, or a month and a half, I think, before I have to have that in. I've also got the big pieces that I want to replace the pieces that are, temporarily replace the ones that are going over to the show, over to the gallery, museum rather. And then I've got a bunch of other things that have been sitting for far too long in the mix. But when we started the project, I was at about 50 pieces, maybe even 60 at that point. And now what are we at? Like 25, 30 with a few small pieces that may just go back into a scrapyard or may just become some of the production work that I have to do. So this time I not only tagged them with what do I need to do to them or want to do to them, but also some things about deadlines as reminders to myself that even if I'm really excited to finish A, I might need to work on B instead as a first priority. Or I need to give myself like breathers with the fun stuff and work on the majority of my time goes towards the things that have deadlines. Then the next consideration is, do I need to fill gaps in my inventory? Now I'm in a good spot. I have a ton of inventory for most of my collections, with a few exceptions in that, and a pile of them are in the middle. I need to do some more of my woven necklaces that are in the mid-price range. I really should do a replacement for my raw collection, which is the big chunk of druzy hanging in gold off of a rough bale with an interesting rough stone on the top of it. And so I had sold 2 of those in the last year, and I need to get a filler to fill that gap. And I have some really interesting new stones for it because I was stone shopping way more than I should be this year. So some of those considerations come into play, but I try to sort of weave them together, no pun intended. And repairs are sometimes the way to go. So for example, let me zoom on this little guy. So this one is a piece that I've had out on the table for a long time, but I've never liked how it hangs. It was on, and this isn't quite the right curve for the neck wire because the tube is just a little too small. Now this is a finished piece. If I'm careful, I can quickly take that off and pop on a healthier sized tube and still keep the vibe of it. And boom, I've got a piece back in production that'll be more interesting. Or I could change it up and put a chain in there if I put a larger but not so wide, but a thicker, wider tube along the top. So that one's a quick and easy repair that I'll probably put into production pretty quickly. I have this pair of earrings from one of my regular collections. I feel like there's not enough light over here. Let me see if I can get you guys a little more light on these things. That's gonna help or hinder? That's gonna hinder. Ooh. Oh, there we go. That's a little better. Is that too much light?
No, that's good.
That's good.
You can see the
So
color
this
now.
one is, yeah, the color of the stones.
Yeah.
Except that it's now in my view of seeing you guys. So the thing about this pair is, one, my stone got very bruised, and I don't mind a little bruising on druzy, but when it's that centered and that obvious, I want to clear it out. But 2, it's always bugged me that these 2 colors aren't exactly the same or close enough to be fooling the eye. One is a little darker, the bruised stone. So I want to see if I can find a match from my more recent stones that I'll be happier with and just swap that out. I have enough of this collection that being without one pair for a while isn't going to take much. And then I have a couple of repair or finish pieces. So this was my 2 projects based on the Alex Boyd hinged earrings series, and I should really finish those because they're nice concepts. They're just not in my collection. They're not my style necessarily. Well, one of them is my style and one of them is his style. So I may finish the one that is more in keeping with my work. And I have a pair of heavy gauged earrings that I started but never set. So they're ready to be set. I just haven't gotten around to setting them because I don't have a huge market for customer base with gauged ears. So they're still in keeping with my style in that they're hollow forms and kind of interesting stones. But they're going to be a hard sell because I need to find somebody with, I think this was a 10 gauge ear. So that's the Boyd projects and that last set are probably pretty low priority, but the woven piece is probably one of my top, get it done and gone quickly. And then I can focus on some of the other things I have out. So that would include, so I have more, oops, too far. I have more prepped pieces for necklaces in my weft collection. So I've got them cut out, woven, as ready as they can be for me to frame them. I have the stones selected. And so that should be an exercise in framing. It's just that I've left the really hard to frame shapes until the end and I'm procrastinating. That happens. So these will get gold bezels on the stones. They'll have either a hinge or more likely a jump ring connector to keep it fairly light. And then they'll have pretty standard basic chains with them. So that's just my everyday wear for the woven collection. This, however, is what I'm going to use as the basis for a replacement for my large woven piece. It's not going to be quite as epic as that one is. But I've had it for a while waiting to figure out what I want to do with it, and now's the time. This one is one of the few backed pieces that I've done in the large weave. It's a little easier to get this unusual curvature to it, and I need to decide where it goes on the body. Is it going to hang sort of mid-chest, just below the clavicle? Is it going to be right up to the throat, trying to make it sort of Amazonian in some way? And do I want to put stones that are in keeping with what I used on the big piece? So it's a baby sister, or do I want to do something else? So I've got some design considerations, but my main element is solid and needs framing, and then I'll have a little bit more to think about. So those are pretty high up in my prioritization collection.
Rachel, can I interrupt
Yeah,
you for a minute and
sure.
ask on that woven curved piece how you did that, how you put that together, like the steps?
Sure. Yeah. So broadly, this is actually done in sterling silver for the body of it instead of my usual weaving in fine silver and gold. So it's still got my bimetal 22 karat gold. And then these are sterling. And this starts by creating a series of cuts that are progressively wider. Oops, I'm out of frame, sorry. Wider at the bottom than at the top. So you start in the middle and you're cutting bands that get widened. And so you create all the frames. And it actually started with a bunch of material that was uncut, holding all of the lines together. And then I'm hammering and curving my weaving segments. So these are the runners that run through. So as I create the material that goes in between, I have to hammer shape it. Normally I'm hammering, texturing it anyhow, but in straight lines. Now I'm hammering it not only to get the texture, but also to get some of that curvature into it. And so then it's a pain in the butt to weave, frankly. It's really, really hard to get, especially the last little bits in place. And it's hard to snug up. But so I did a lot of overweave and then soldered it down and trimmed it back to what I wanted out of the final shape.
So when
And then,
you created that, you did the weaving basically in that shape. It wasn't like you made a square and cut it out.
correct. So in order to get that arching feel to it, yeah. And this is an element of what's in the larger piece. That one was done in segments so that it didn't have the curve, but it did have the splaying. It went narrow to wide for a similar effect. So I was sort of playing with the bounds of what I could do by forming it. Now I did work it flat and then put the back on it and then use the back to support it as I domed it a bit. So I wasn't working literally with the all three direct dimensions curve. I was working flat, but had to put the curves in order to build it. Right. And then did some doming and shaping, which I need to touch up apparently before I put my frame on there.
So did you work that piece from one side and then, you know, made each section as you're weaving, so to speak? And
Nope,
then,
literally this is one line that I wove in, and then I wove in the next line and the next and the next.
okay, so
Yeah.
I've, you know, I've done a lot of beading and I understand weaving. So you started with your vertical pieces and
Yep.
line them up, and then you
Mhm.
wove in through to the sections.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still
All right.
see, I don't know if you can see it on here up close enough, but there's still a little bit of where I left the upper edge connected. So this was all solid, and I had sort of a ½ inch of selvage up at the top.
Uh-huh.
And then, so it holds, basically they go like this, right? As I am, so there's a little attachment up at the top, and then they open up like this so that I can lift and weave in between them,
Right. Okay.
right?
I've never done that with metal, but it is fascinating. And so I just thought I'd ask for a little more clarity in case I want to play in my spare life. Thanks.
It is definitely this with the sterling, and when you're cutting your own warp on it, or weft, whatever, warp is the uprights. Yeah, warp on it. They get really finger slicey. It's one of the reasons I like doing the flat straight line weave a little bit more, because I can use cleaner strips. So just be aware, this is super, super sharp on the edges compared to this, which is nice and soft, just a little pokey, right? But that's all woven in straight lines, just some funkier patterns at times.
So
So
just
herringbone.
curious, how, if I wanted an oval, am I better off creating a square and cutting it out?
Yes,
Or, okay,
100%.
okay, just
Yeah.
checking.
And best of all is to take a class with Jeannie Pratt and learn how she backs her pieces.
Okay.
I don't back all of my pieces, but you'll learn a great deal about what can be created structurally from her, in addition to a gazillion really cool woven patterns.
And what gauge are you working with?
It depends. So this was probably a 24 gauge maybe, or 22 gauge. But these I'm working in probably 26 gauge,
Okay.
because by the time I've hammered them down, they're quite thin.
Okay.
And when I work for when I'm working the earrings, it's maybe 30 gauge. Those are
Okay.
a nightmare. Yeah, the earrings take 3 times as long as the pendants. The tiny, tiny weave is really, really a pain.
Right.
So,
Okay. That's great. Thanks.
okay, so that's the things that I need to be working on. And that's one of my replacement pieces of the big 3. And then we come down to this piece, which you guys have seen on some classes, because I've talked about the hinge points that I'm doing on these. And this is palm wood and hollow forms that are going to also have some kyumbu on the fine silver edge to try and bring out that pattern. And then they'll be a little bit blackened to repeat some of this darkness in here. And this is so close to done. It's going to replace, there's a piece that you guys may see on my advertisements, which is the picture of the woman. The model is staring straight at you, and she has the multi-part hollow form that has raw sapphires and stripes of gold and so on, and is one of my more striking pieces. Gets a lot of attention, but it's going to the show, to the museum. So this is going to be the equivalent, the next in line on the large blocky hollow forms. And so this is a must do for, and I've put myself a May 1st deadline because that's when I have to ship the other pieces out. In truth, I have more time than that because my next show after that point isn't yet set. But it'd be nice to have it finished so that I can get it photographed before I bring it to shows. And this one just has a whole lot of hinging left to do, like 7 hinges left to do. Because I stopped at the point where I have to do the change of direction. So these are all hinging this way, and these are all going to hinge this way, or at least the next 2 are. I may go back to this direction on the back. And those are the teeny tiny, simply using a tube and a rectangular jump ring between them. That's all that is to make those hinges. So it gives a lot of nice movement this way, but doesn't have a whole lot of tip, which is why I have to prepare for the up down at the neckline so that it has a little fold over the shoulder. So that one is one of the biggies. And you can see, this is a little bit of my chaos in life, in the world, in my everyday that you're seeing here, that I have so many large scale projects in flight. I don't actually enjoy having this many large scale projects, but it's a sign of how little time I've had in the studio, believe it or not. It looks like it's a lot of time represented, and it is, but it's the bites of time where I have to work on whatever I have the current focus and skills for. Otherwise, I'm sitting and making mistakes all over the place. So I come back to the bigger projects. They take more time, length, like the total duration of time from starting the project to ending tends to be longer. But the hours are broken up a little differently than when I say I'm doing like when I do these, I'll probably frame all three. Oops, you're not in focus there, right? So when I do the woven little guys, I'll probably do all 3 of those in one batch. This will take a couple stages, a couple sessions. Finishing the big piece is going to take just sitting down and getting it done. I'm so close to this one, to done on this one, that I can taste it. So I just need a block of like 3 or 4 hours of good soldering time, and then finishing and sanding and all that jazz. And I'm looking forward to seeing this one done because it's been sort of in my brain for a while. Behind them is, of course, our piece that we've been working on in class. And I thought about this long and hard today because I was feeling really guilty that I hadn't gotten more of the hinging done between things. But between life and some medical stuff and so on, I have not had the concentration that I need for the itty bitty hinges. And I can't figure out where my last piece is. Like somebody took the last puzzle piece. So I got to
Oh
dig that up,
no.
or else I'm going to go a little bonkers. I know.
No.
It's recreatable. It's just a pain in the butt if I have to. So
No.
I
You
realized I
find
had to
it.
give myself a little grace and say, hey, this one can sit for a while because it's sat for a year of work that we've been putting into it in 3-hour blocks.
Yeah. You could
And
start with another
really,
one. You could
yeah,
start with another one.
yeah, I absolutely can. I think it's going to be a really gorgeous piece, so I do want to finish it, but it's
Mhm.
not one of my priority time-wise, like has a deadline kind of projects, other than it helps keep this class going. Oh, we had some other folks join. Hey, welcome, welcome. I didn't see you pop in. So we're not doing any making today. We're going to do designing, and we're doing a lot of talking about where the box of unfinished things is right now. The short version is there's a lot of very large scale projects right now. I'll zoom back out for the new folks because we've been, oops, wrong way. We've been zoomed in. So this is a lot of what is left in my box. Back up a little bit. And I'm going through and if you were at the first session, you know that I went through and classified them sort of broadly into redesign or destroy or technical challenge or missing materials, those kinds of things. Now I'm doing a little bit more finer touch on what's what. And I'm talking about how the real world needs of my business interplay with what I choose to work on when. I don't like having this many really large projects going because it feels like they'll eventually bore me if they get left too long. That's one of the problems. Like this one has to go. This one is not doing what I want at all. It was an attempt to make a sibling to another piece that was my favorite piece. And I really don't like how it looks. So I got to repurpose it. This one is a piece that I loved when I started it. And then I managed to completely shatter the $180 stone that it was designed around. So now I have lots of really pretty little pieces of stone, but they're a little too fragile for this piece. So I got to figure how I'm going to recover from it. I'll zoom in on a little bit on that one so you guys can see it a little better. Wrong way. Oh my goodness, I'm completely backwards today. What am I doing? So this one. And I also realized, so this is one of those ones, my note today says WTF question mark, redesign question mark. I've got these little blue sapphires that were going to really nicely accent the piece. I still like the concept and the shape that I have of these interesting pieces, but I realize collectively, even if the stone weren't broken, this does not fit any of my collections. This doesn't fit my current style. And it's been sitting long enough that I've been able to realize it. So that's the WTF part, and the redesign is, hey, what happens if the same concept exists with hollow forms, right? As soon as I lift those off and give dimension to these pieces, I'm going to be much happier. It's going to feel more me. It's going to be more in line with this style piece as soon as I make these into little boxes.
And what the
so that
type?
may be all I need to.
Sorry, I was just
Sorry,
wondering
go ahead.
what stone that was.
I
one
wish
that
I could tell you. I probably have notes from long ago. A vase piece. I got it because it's just such cool crystalline formation in there, but those crystalline formation pieces are super, super fragile in there a little bit. I think it's a petrified something with quartz inside of it, but I couldn't tell you. So the smaller pieces may recover enough for me to do an intriguing small setting with it, but it needs way more protection than the bulk of this big piece could get it. The piece itself was, the original stone was huge. It was like all of these pieces, I think, or somehow can't even put the puzzle back together. There was something connecting them further up. And so I'm really bummed because it was a lovely, like that, something along those lines. No, that doesn't look right. I may have lost a couple of the pieces in the shattering. Because yeah, it looks like maybe these two. I may have had two stones, something along those lines. And I thought I had a third somewhere, but I guess not. So neat design idea. I also realized that I need to go back and do a better job of the engraving that I did on them because it's really sloppy, so it would bug the hell out of me. And I now have skills from the Mokame class I took, so I can go back in and use the chisels on it to get a better carve into it, which will make me much happier. I am going to have the challenge of reverse engineering already cut out pieces to create hollow forms from. But since it's wide open on all of them, it's not like the box is going to be a problem. It'll be completely airy and easy to clean. It's just that I have to build the walls to the trimming the top to the walls, which is my usual method. What else we got here? Any questions about the ones that I've shown thus far and where they stand and why they are the way they are?
Can I go back for a second to the woven piece? So you're going to put a frame around them?
Yep.
Okay, and are
Yeah.
you using something like rectangular wire?
No, I use round wire. I use
Okay.
channel wire and frame it up snugly. You can see photos of the woven stuff on my website and Instagram.
Okay.
It's basically, actually, do I have any of the cuffs in
It's okay.
progress?
I was just curious about
Yeah.
because if you're using round, are you filing an edge flat to get a good butt joint there, or?
Literally called slotted wire. It has a channel.
Okay. Okay.
It's
That makes
called
sense.
either slotted wire or channel wire, wherever you would, depending on where you buy it.
Okay.
And it is a royal pain to use on curves, which is one of the reasons this has sat in my box of unfinished things. So, and why this one is standing right where it is, because getting that last connection tight, because this wants to, like, this is really solid material, and this is really wussy material, the weave itself. So anytime I try to bend, it wants to distort. So I have to
Right.
work very, very carefully to get it in place.
Okay.
And then make sure that the angles are just so.
Oh, what
Or
material is that black thing? It looks black.
this,
Yeah.
that's just annealed silver. I
Oh,
just didn't
okay.
pickle it. I didn't pickle it between trying to get it in place and shaping it there.
Is that the same with the three pieces on your, no, on the one in the center, the bigger one, left, there. Yeah,
This one?
there. Yeah, there are some darkened pieces.
Oh, yeah. This is not annealed. So I intentionally, especially when I'm working on hinges, this is a great tidbit. When I am working on hinges, I try not to pickle between things because I don't want my solder reflowing. And so any of the carbon deposit is going to help keep solder from flowing places it shouldn't. Like one of the slowdowns on this piece is when I was doing one of these fine, I think it was this one, I managed to reflow the next two down. So it was locked. And so I had to take
Oh,
them all off and redo them, right? So by keeping them grubby, they
yeah.
are slightly less likely to flow where they shouldn't when I'm heating too much.
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you.
Yep. You can, by the way, guys, you can intentionally use if you have an acetylene air torch, you can put your fingers over the holes of the air torch where it would draw in the oxygen, the ambient oxygen, and it will intentionally char your work. So you can charcoal coat. You do that when you're prepping a mold for if you're pouring metal in for an ingot or something. But you can also use it to char a piece of your work, again creating a situation where it's less likely to flow where you've charred. It's terrible for you. It's terrible for the environment. Try and have your mask and or your respirator and or air vent system going. But
Yeah,
just touch up.
and then the fire department called or came. I don't remember.
No, it's not that level. It's just like from if you throw something that burns badly on a fire, it's that kind of ashing, and you'll get soot marks on your ceiling if you do it too much. But it's not dangerous. It's literally, so what happens when you do that is the oxygen comes out from the the air is stopped. So all of it is trying to basically bring the oxygen components back down onto the heat. And so it's doing what we try not to do when we want to solder
Right.
and blacken, right? And it acts kind of, it's a acetylene manufactured dust that is the equivalent of putting, say, a whiteout or a yellow ochre in there.
Oh,
It's just
cool,
not as hard to
cool.
clean up, right? I
Very
hate yellow ochre.
Yeah, no,
So
I hate yellow ochre also.
yeah, hinges in particular, it's a handy trick for getting soot where you don't want things to accidentally flow out.
Right.
So let's see, how did we get there? We got there because you were asking about the blackening on the weave, because we were asking about how do we frame. So frames led us to the blackening on this piece and why I leave it that way, and hinges. Any other questions on the things we've already talked about? Okay, then moving on to some of the, so I've sort of been working from the highest priority items out. And let's go over to the back corner because there's a couple fun ones in the back. Oop, wrong back side. Let's see, that's where I wanted to head. No, there. Zoom. This is weird having this camera in the hotspot here. So I did take that Mocha Megane carving class, and I spent all that time carving patterns into things. So I figured I'd better make some stuff out of it that are in my own style. So here is, whoop, and of course I moved right out of the zone I just moved into. So I started by thinking, well, this is actually Mocha under here. It's just the pattern isn't coming up right now. It's a brass copper, and I'm going to have to etch it a little to do that. And I thought, well, you know, if I'm going to all that trouble to pattern, and my jam right now is doing Mokume hollow forms, I'm going to make a hollow form. I really enjoy making ones with unusual concave, convex curvature. If I'm going to do that, I happen to have this really lovely druzy, which is also in keeping with my collections. And it has a little bit of curvature, which is why I chose the curve I did and the shape I did. So that's going to go in there. The pattern, when it gets pulled up, is going to have a grid of cross-hatching lines in it. So that's why I recreated it in square wire. And I've been working on the chain, which is in keeping with my Chained After Dark collection. And so trying to give the recreation of the spots from here and the lines from here, spots from here, and the lines that you can't see right now from here into the chain. So this one is another piece that's very, very close to done. It just needs a buttload of sanding and filing, because for some reason, this batch of solder that I'm working with is getting all over the place.
So when you made the links in that piece, you are creating like the triangle frame and then soldering the wires, the crossbar wires or the jump rings in. It's not pierced.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
It's not pierced. No, it should be in an equally acceptable way. I just abhor pierce work. And in order for it to be stable on that scale, you'd need to start with probably 18 or even 20, 18, somewhere in there as the thinnest I would go. Possibly even 16 gauge, because this is like if I'm cutting that much away. But it would be an equally interesting thing, or even interspersed. Like you could do a pane that was done out of cutaway, and then a simpler link out of chain. This was a royal pain in the butt because I wanted it out of square wire. And when you're trying to do curves in square wire, they want to twist like crazy. So I'm not 100% satisfied with the look, but it was an exercise in producing something out of what I had designed in the class. This is another one that comes out of the same billet, and I don't know if you can almost see the pattern coming up. I've got to sand it down and repattern. Where am I going? Here we go. I don't know if that pattern is going to show enough for you guys to see.
I love that combination of the stones with that color on the bottom.
Yeah, it's copper and brass, so when it's patterned and patinaed right, yeah, the pattern's not going to show on the cameras really. You can sort of get a hint of that. So there's these little like arrow-like lines that kind of zigzag across each other.
You
It'll
fused them
pop beautifully
together?
once I've got. Pardon?
Did you fuse them together or what?
No,
Copper and
no, this is
brass?
carving moke megane. And if you look at my
Okay.
Instagram, you can actually see shots of the sheet metal before I turned it into this. But I've got to
Okay.
sand it and polish it and wax it to bring it up. And then this is going to be the stone that goes with. But of course, as I'm just finishing up my prep, I discovered my chain has a broken link. So I've got to go do
Oh,
a repair before I can finish the polishing and set it up. So that one's another one of those, it should be quick. And it
yeah.
goes with my collection, so I can put it out as soon as I've got it done. This is a piece that I want to like. I don't have much in my scrap pile anymore. We did a good job of culling down to scrap, and I've used a lot of the materials from the scrapping since. This piece is ages old, and it was a stone that I got as like an add-on from a bunch of other stones. Somebody tossed it in with a pile I was buying, and it seemed like something that I should do something unusual with. And so I was doing, at the time, I was doing what I called my Scrapworks collection, where I'd use partially melted, scraps of bezels and scraps of wire and so on. At the time, it went with the other work that I had, but I've scrapped a third of that collection because it wasn't my vibe. I didn't put it out much, and I realized I was avoiding it. Maybe I'll use that stone in a class sometime because I do like the rough edge druzy. I'll recover this pretty solid chain, and the rest will go to scrap. But this was a good use of a couple different tidbits of chain I had from shortening other chains and so on. So this one's going in the scrap heap. Let's see. This piece over here is one that I look forward to finishing. Yeah, too far. Let's go over to the corner and in. I am completely kerfuffled on where I'm going with this today. Come on. There we go. So that piece in the corner, this is a reversible holoform with links between it. And it was the piece that I did when I was being interviewed for a video, a 5-minute short video for one of the shows I do. They'd gotten a grant to do artist videos, and they asked me to be the jeweler the first year that they represented people. And so I said, well, I don't want to, them trying to record me doing a whole lot of anything. It's going to have to be something that I can get pieces of done pretty quickly so they get some good completeness. And so I sketched out, and I don't usually go to this level of detail, but I'd sketched out this combination hinged holoform with links and more interspersed. And then it's got, it was originally in the original design, it was going to be a box clasp, but I have made it a toggle clasp instead. Come into frame, Rachel. So this one is a keyhole toggle clasp, which makes it even more stable for this particular layout where there's a lot of movement. And I just ran out of mokume and managed to melt out one of my pieces too much. So the pattern that I was using for this, I didn't have enough. So this was a perfect example of materials getting in the way. And I now have more of that pattern, so I can go back and finish it. It's reversible, so it'll have some Kyumbu on the back in the reverse curves. All the rest is going to be the silver gold combination. There's a mokume on both sides of the clasp. So I'm looking forward to finishing this one. It's just very far down on the priorities list. But 3 weeks ago, I finally picked up more of the pattern that had been hard to find. This piece is even older.
I'm sorry, is
This
the
one?
back pattern on that piece like
No,
pattern?
the back is concave, convex. Where am I going? Concave and convex holoforms, and I'm going to do Kyumbu in the. So it's fine silver on this side, so that I can Kyumbu it. Whereas
Okay.
the other side is the
And what
mokume
is that?
pattern.
Okay, because
This
I'm like, that's something you buy or you make.
you both. You can do. I do both.
Okay.
You can buy pattern sheet. There's a
Mhm.
place called Reactive Metal, and you can maybe still get some of it from Rio. But the unfortunate thing is the gentleman who worked for Reactive, who has designed the majority of produced for general purchase patterns in the United States, at least, passed away unexpectedly recently. Man named Phil Baldwin. He's based out of just outside of Seattle. So everybody's been hard hit by that. Not that we lost a pretty brilliant artist.
Mhm.
The materials are a little harder to find, and they're getting a lot more expensive because other people have to manufacture them to sort of his standards, and that's a hard number to beat. So there's actually Seattle Metals Guild and Danica Design Studio up in Seattle is going to be doing an homage show where materials, it's all kinds of pieces from his collection, and he's got some amazing patterns. So that's the patterns in my large scale holoform with mokume on it are from him. And I'll be using his material in the one that I said I have to design for the show.
Okay.
Um,
It's a really, really great
yeah,
contrast.
it is wonderful stuff, and you need to learn how to use it. It's
Mhm.
much more delicate. You should never use more than a medium solder with it because the fusing point between the materials has a lower melt temp than either of the materials individually.
Mhm.
This is a really, really old piece that I keep laying out in different ways, and they're never the same way that I started. Originally, it was just going to be a necklace of nothing but the stones, but I don't do necklaces of just stones these days.
Mhm.
That's not my current work. So I decided to intersperse some hollow forms and see what I thought of it. I'm not jamming right now. I'm stuck on the fact that I don't really like the hollow form teardrop shape. So I may scrap those and just go with something a little simpler where I'm just using these pieces between and sort of breaking it up. But this is in the finish, but redesign, but I don't know what I want to be when I grow up phase of life. Probably something like that being on the back clasp or something. I like it conceptually. It's not a stone I would traditionally use, but I found such a fantastic set of pieces that this is probably, this may have even been, the stones and their bezels may have even traveled with me across the country. Having been the first iteration of this design, but it never has made the cut for take it apart and do something else with it. So this has got to become something soon. This puppy over here, you guys may recognize because it's the original version of the big hollow form piece we've been working on in class, except we were going to put this stuff in here, right? What we ended up with. It was actually, I don't think we were talking about something like this. That was my first design was the chain, and I just didn't know how I was going to connect it all. But I'm so much happier with the scale of the big piece and the balance and the textural stuff that we've got going on. And I found that I had these two stuff. I'm sort of like, even this, I'm not sure I'm going to make. I'm sort of on the fence because it feels like it's going to be a little too pokey. It's just that it's a neat use of the triangle shape, and maybe I can blunt it enough. Maybe I can mix it up a little bit in how they connect, make it more abstract. I don't know. This is one of those, think about it and then maybe do some redesign on it. Like it becomes immediately more interesting as soon as I start turning shapes around, right? It becomes more abstracted. There's levels to it, but then I have to figure out the connections again. This is sort of like Art Deco, you know, the columns and so on, where they'd carve in all those cool pieces. So I got to play with that. What do I write on the yellow stickers? Oh, that's not showing. This says keep or scrap, question mark.
Yeah,
those,
but
that's
do you
what
ever write, I like, I don't like, it's too big, or just throw or keep?
you absolutely, you could. Yeah, I'm so the first version of this, when I come to the box of unfinished things, is always keeping it to those basics that I talk about. And I'll bring up my list. Is it design blocked? Is it materials blocked? Is it technique or skills blocked? Meaning you had a vision for something and you knew what you wanted it to look like, but you had no idea how to make it and you started anyway. You just can't stand it, which happens sometimes. Or it's not in your current vibe, your current look. So even though when you started it, it was interesting to you, it's no longer fitting what you feel is your present position. There's any number of other reasons in there, but I tend to do that basic sort as the first thing. The reason I did a more detailed sort is I wanted to show you what my exercise is when I get a little further into cleaning up the box. So if we were to go find the video clips from the very first day, I think I had close to 60 pieces out. And there was a good 15 or 20 of them that went into the immediate scrap pile. So I spent one afternoon just taking it apart for stones, for metal, for you know, pin backs, for all of the pieces that I could salvage. Those went right away. Right, and that's a big distinction in what we've got out today is there's not a lot of scrap left, right? What there are is elements that will hopefully spark either finishing. They're in very different stages, like the finish pieces. Back out a little more. Oop, wrong way. Come on. No, I guess that's as far as I'm zooming. I got to go left, right. So the finished piece, the nearly finished pieces are, you know, a matter of sitting down to the bench. There's a bunch of stuff over on this side that is in the, I don't know when I'm going to get to it, right? This
Right.
is a piece that is from like my ancient collection when I was still having things cast. So I would do wax carvings and have them cast, and they just didn't sell. They just didn't sell. I was doing them as individual necklaces and pins and so on. I maybe sold some earrings in the collection, but they're not interesting enough for people, and they're really, really, really far outside of my current look for work.
They're
But I
organic.
don't. Pardon?
They are organic. I can't see.
They are. No, they're here. Let me zoom in on some of them. So
Oh,
these are wax carved. So I used sticks of wax and sheet wax,
twigs.
and so they're not actual twigs. They're me carving a twig.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Or me carving leaves or ferns. So they're just a little bit abstract from a real leaf or
Right.
fern,
Yeah, got it.
right? And I love them. My favorite thing I've ever done with them. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at too many screens right now. Where am I? There we go. My favorite thing I've ever done is make these huge cocktail rings where they sit up like half an inch off of your finger. But those didn't sell either because they look like they're going to stab somebody. So I want to do something with the collection of remaining castings. I won't ever cast more of them. Oh, where am I going? I apologize for all the crazy camera work today, gang. I have an idea that maybe it'll make an interesting necklace unto itself of a whole slew of them, you know, like some kind of chain out of them, but it's still not part of my current practice. So I got, if I'm going to do anything, I have what I wrote on this one is transform and engage voice. And what I mean is, like with the piece that we talked about over here, the only way I'm going to like it is if it becomes more like what I'm doing now. So this one can go to box forms, like these can be elevated and turned into boxes. But what can I do? You know, these aren't going to become hollow forms, right? The twigs. I don't know how to get them in my current voice. So this one's going to sit in a pile for a while. I'm going to continue to take it out every time I do this, and then I'm going to continue to put it back because I don't have an answer for that yet.
Yeah, it will come.
I hope so. I hope so because I loved making them. Like these are they represent me sitting on the coast of Maine when all I could bring was some hand tools and some soft wax and so on. And
Cool.
playing around with the possibility, right? So I'd sit overlooking the ocean, the Penobscot Bay, and I'd make all kinds of twigs and branches and leaves and flowers. And I love the pieces. They just aren't part of my voice, which is a hard edit to do sometimes, right?
Right.
So
What if
that's a
you-
pile there. Yeah.
What if you just add a hollow form next to it, just to see it from any design, from any of your pieces? Introduce a hollow form.
Did the camera go out on you guys? I'm getting weird signals from my machine. Can you see what I'm looking at still? Or is it looking here?
Yeah, I
can see.
Yeah.
Did it just change for you?
Yes. And so
Okay.
did your voice.
No video available. Why is it telling me it has no video? Let me just double check that my power cables haven't gone out on me somehow.
It still says that it's recording.
Yeah, it's not the Zoom that's working. Oh, there we go. For some reason, my my camera did not want to show what I was looking at. Now, are we back to the right camera? Yes.
So,
Right. So
what
put
I
a
was
hollow
saying,
form.
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you can just take the twig and play around with the hollow form, because that's what you do a lot of, just either around it, by it, you know, it could be round, square, whatever. You have enough there that you can go back and forth if you want to still keep that design.
Yeah, it's I have tried putting them at like as the topper for a hollow form, like I do a twig that hung a hollow form beneath it, like a stone. But it just isn't feeling me, and that's okay. I'm not losing anything by leaving them. It's not like I don't have other projects in the queue, right? But yeah, it's what I'm trying to get across. One of the reasons I put so much out for you all is I wanted you to see some of the things that are going through my head as I think about which projects to pull out. I'm never going to have every one of these done. That's just not in the cards, because by the time I get to the 17th project, I'll be looking at it going, that's not my voice now because it's been 2 years. Or I'll say, that design isn't really catching me anymore. But that's okay too. Like, it's okay.
But it doesn't have to be your voice all the time.
For me, it really clashes with my ability to sell it as something that I feel that I feel good about if it's not got my voice. It's taken me a very, very long time to feel like I had a true voice. I feel like I should be talking face to face with you. So I'm being really genuine now, except my lighting is terrible. There we go. Light out of here. Yeah, so there's a lot of thought that goes into that. About why I would or would not want to have my voice. And what I find is the pieces I like least are the ones that I feel my voice isn't in, right? They clash for me. So why would I waste valuable studio time making something that doesn't feel me? And I'm not making this as a, you should always do your voice. It's an evolving thing. And sometimes it's just about what you want to make in the moment. I absolutely have done that. And it's generated fantastic collections.
You froze. Okay.
Oh, are we back?
I understand.
Yeah. So for me, that is my old me on those twigs. I love them for what they were more than what they can be. And so I'm going to hang on to them and at a different time. Yeah, it would hurt my fiscal sense to scrap them all because it cost a lot to cast them. But also,
And
I still think they're pretty.
Maybe, yeah, I love them myself. And maybe they're meant for you to make a piece for yourself that you can enjoy. And, that would be like your reward for graduating to a new voice.
A donation to a charitable event.
Yeah, that too.
Because then I can put it in a scale of reasonable, if they need 5 necklaces to give as auction prizes or something, I can put simple necklaces together the way I used to when I first did the collection. And I choose, is it something that I promote with my current branding or not? It may just be an anonymous donation. The earrings that I give to dress are not earrings that I sell actively anymore. It's okay to evolve. That's what it comes down to. Are you liking me going through all of them, or should I stop? Like, I've been doing a lot of talking and showing. Do you want to stop there, or you want to look at the last couple pieces that we had out for where they are in their life cycle?
No, go for it. I mean, you complete it then.
Okay. All right, let me put us back to the lit area and the correct camera. Oops, here we go. Yeah. Going down where we should be. Nope, wrong camera. There we go. All right, so this is one of my sort of passion designs. Like this one, I'm looking forward to finally settling in and making. But every time I lay it out, I do something different with it. I found these stones, and they were, I think I paid like 50 cents, $1 a piece. And they're just interesting. I always like rough stones. I like stones that have a lot of inclusions. I like unusual shapes. And this gave me honeybee vibes. honeycomb vibes. And I like the combination of textures that I can bring in with the reticulation, alternating with smooth. This embodies a lot of the elements that I sort of natively move towards when I'm designing. It includes negative space, right? It includes dimension, lots of different layers and levels. I don't know if you can see it on here, but these are all different heights. Scale and change and a lot of flow. So that's one of the reasons I keep moving them around like little puzzle pieces. Like I need things that break them up, but also I want it to ultimately move sort of big to small, right? How does that look? But I've had it where it's all draped down one side and it's not, and then the other side would be chains or something where it would come tapering down like this, like a side collar. But the elements are all this, unlike the twigs, are essentially me in my current practice, right? The rough stones, the rough textures of the metal, interspersing the shiny and the reticulation something else. Potentially it could be reversible, but I'm not super excited about the backs of these. And I think connecting them is going to be enough of a nightmare as it is. Making them also reversible would be tough. It also includes elements like I set one of the stones inside the negative space. And so I can do something blackening around it to sort of pop that one center stone. So conceptually, this also embodies an approach, not necessarily your approach, but it is an approach that I work in frequently. And that component based. I pick a shape or a pattern or a concept and I make minor variants on it. In this case, scale, size. I very purposefully did a whole bunch of different like positioning of the interior cuts so they're not all perfect. Your vibe might be, I need exact duplicates, or I need scaled big to small exact duplicates, or something like that. You know, like Jane Redman, a dear friend and someone whose work I admire to the high heavens, she recreates the exact same shape so perfectly that I'm a little jealous. But I've taken her classes and I love the techniques, and I've tried making repetitive pieces. Doesn't go anywhere for me. I get stuck on them, right? They're interesting components, but they're not the unusual hand in each piece separately. And that's, again, my personal vibe. I adore every one of her pieces, and they're spectacular when she does the big work in particular, where she's layering and layering all of her shapes. I want to layer different shapes, not the repeating shapes, but different, but the same, if that makes sense. So, you know, we talked early on in this session about what happens when you're just not creating. One of my absolute favorite go-to design stuck is pick a shape, whatever your favorite geometric shape is, and get out your sketch pad and draw it in combination with itself in different ways, draw it with negative space built in, draw it with height, draw them overlapping, draw them in sequences like you might hang from a chain or from an earring. Just repeat and repeat and repeat, and then start taking away and adding. So what happens when I take a block out of it, or I layer them, right? So if this is my shape, I've already got so many variant pieces that I could create out of this. I can make them sort of waterfall-like, like some kind of steps in a Andrew Lloyd, whatever his name is, not Andrew Lloyd, Andrew, who's the amazing artist with waterfall as his house. Too many, you guys know who I'm talking about, the amazing mid-century modern architect. So as soon as I do this and I start stacking and putting them in
Frank
different
Lloyd
positions.
Wright.
Frank Lloyd Wright, not Andrew Lloyd. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber, the musical guy, and Frank Lloyd Wright. Thank you for that. I was totally wrong on the Andrews. But so I'm just shapes I've got here, and I get like what happens when my screw. Well, that's going to be a tough thing to set, but if I can achieve it, it's really interesting. There's I think his Boland. There's a guy who his artwork is mostly rings, and he's creating cubes and other geometrics that he insets into one another and then insets the gem at an odd angle to it. They're architecturally captivating to me. I like people who think about changing the planes of the work. And it's one of the things that I try to do in mine. So this has a whole ton of possibility, even if I just stay flat. But as soon as I put those together, I start being even more interested in what I can do with it, right? I don't know. Do I want to stack them? Maybe I want to make more solid components of it. So if you're in a stuck place, take out the sketch pad. Doesn't have to be sitting in your studio, and doodle. And only after you've hundreds of the same shape in different iterations, then add in one more shape. So what, take a break in that line. That's a terrible shape to go with that. So let me find a more interesting shape. Maybe I like my teardrops here. Nope, I really don't like my teardrops there. Maybe I like my rectangles because that breaks up but still has some of the interest. And so what does that do to change my design work as I go through it? So just, give yourself the, without a product in mind, but with formations. And then go look at your stones or whatever you have and go, I wonder what would complement that. Right now I've got some pieces that doesn't complement it very well, but these are designed for it. Or what happens if I go to my more commonly used, rose cut stones? Maybe that's got something interesting. For me, it would probably end up being druzy or something like that. Or my broken stone. What happens when I bring that in? Mostly it looks like it's giving it the finger, but that's okay. Play around and layer upon your design ideas without intentionally saying, this has to be a necklace, this has to be a ring, this has to be a bracelet. But this set of shapes here right now, man, this would make some stunning bracelets, right? I've got it designed as this statement piece, but if I start breaking it up and building it into some kind of cuff bracelet, maybe a chained together bracelet, so it becomes this long extension, there's another variation that becomes really, really interesting to me, right? So this pile is finalized vision is what I've got there, right? This is for this guy over here. And I'm going to actually change that to finalize visions, because just talking with you all and talking about, hey, why am I not thinking about bracelets? Every time I come to this, I've been thinking about this waterfall effect necklace. Maybe it's not ready to be a necklace, or maybe I need to break it up and make it a necklace that has pieces that work their way around. Maybe it's not about making one giant waterfall, but it's about making a series of pieces that are interconnected with something else, and these become statement elements around it. Already I like it more, right? Broken up rather than the heavy weight of dragging it down the chest. So I guess I'm saying, even in your box of unfinished things, there's potential for newness and for design out of it. For me, this is the one that I most want to get back to, but have no excuse with the other prior.
But one thing that
This one
I'm
is not.
getting, what I was going to say,
Pardon?
Rachel, what I was going to say is what I'm getting from listening to you is that even,
Yeah.
as you said, just doing this with us now has got you
Mhm.
thinking, motivating. So yes, you have other
Yeah.
projects, but in the back of your mind will be this piece. And if it's sitting there,
Yes.
then tomorrow and next week or whatever, you can come move stuff around, and
Right.
I think that's one thing that's hard for all of us on some level, is we do get design blocked, and
Mhm.
we also think we with where we are in that moment, we kind of limit ourselves, right? So that
Yes.
part of developing your voice is that ability to play and not be attached,
Yeah.
that things should have to be a certain way. And with a piece where, especially if you're doing it for yourself, where you can walk away and then come back and be, feel free to make a different reiteration.
Yeah, and reiteration is a great way to start a collection, right? You've done the one piece. How do you riff on it? Is it like, if it's these hexagons that I'm looking at, am I doing once I find a design out of it, do I do a version of it in circles? Do I do a version of it in triangles? Or is it, I take the hexagons in a different direction? What happens when I'm doing earrings to go with, or making the single pendant version of it instead of the full? Because I tend to do, when I'm doing a new collection, it tends to start with a masterpiece piece, a big something. And this one, I only have a limited number of stones, but I could probably get more. So I could absolutely riff off of it if I like where I've gone with it. I tend, on my big statement pieces, I tend to try to not make exactly the same design over and over again. Even if I were to sell the piece, I would then go for a variant on it. So yeah, let yourself play. And there's a couple ways that I encourage that to happen. Especially if you're like me and you don't have a lot of time in the studio. One of the reasons I've stuck with this exercise is because I used to do Wednesday night studios. Every Wednesday night, local craft center, and 3 to 5 people usually would show up, and we'd all just be doing our own thing. But there would be somebody that you go, hey, what do you think? Should this go this way, or should I put this stone with it? Just having a sounding board sometimes is really phenomenal. It will open your creativity back up, just having those people, especially if they're positive people. I try to avoid the people who are like, I don't like that all the time, because that's Debbie Downer time. But it's also, I personally need a balance of other people interaction, studio development time, and a whole lot of just hobbit studio time, privacy, heads down, do the thing. These days I'll occasionally have a Zoom studio with friends where we all just get on Zoom and say hi to each other and then go about our day working, and we can just look up every once in a while and hear them hammering or see what they're working on or whatever. And occasionally we'll go, hey guys, what do you think of this? Or, oh man, I broke the stone. Fuck, whatever's going. Pardon, I should be not swearing when we're recording, but it's too late. So yeah, try and find other people to vibe off of if you're jammed up, and it may come somewhere. Or try a collaboration. Go to, if you played that game as a kid where you'd take a piece of paper and you'd fold it in thirds, and one person would draw something and leave a little piece hanging out, and then the next person would draw the next section, and so on. There's no reason we adults can't do that with our art, right? Go find a collaborative group that wants to make projects as a team, or find somebody whose aesthetic you like that you think will go well with yours, and design collectively, right? Either with that kind of literal, I'm going to design something, you design off of it, or with something that's more of a communication and a conversation. I like working with hollow forms. You like working with filigree. What happens when we combine them, right? It's about not letting you stay stuck in your head. And so that's one of the reasons I continued doing this after the Cogswell project ended, is because it gives me some of that bounce and feedback. I get as much out of you all showing me what you're working on as hopefully you do from my work. I see inspiration. Like, I don't think of working as sculptural pieces. That's super cool. I think of working in jewelry all the time, but I used to love making little boxes. Why don't I make boxes anymore, And what does it mean when I take my art into a non-wearable form? I have made a giant sculpture once. I would love to do it again. It's just not something that's in my current time and budget. So think about what other people are doing around you, and riff off of them too, without stealing their ideas, but communicating if you're sharing, and just sort of play a little bit more. Give yourself a play date. And if you can't go out and do it with other people, commit to Mondays are my play. I put away all the must-dos. I put away all the housework obligations. I have a 4-hour window that I'm going to do nothing but play. And I do a lot of play. I think I've shown you guys the tin foil. So a lot of my play, the designs actually that we're looking at today a lot of the big pieces. Life again on the coast of Maine with a roll of this and a pair of shears, right? So I didn't have my metal in front of me. I did bring a set of a few stones that were interesting to me, but I was on vacation, so my brain was in a different place. I could go out on the water and kayak for an hour and then come back in and be like, oh, here's where I am now, and dabble. And in foil, you can scrap it, you can bend it, you can get rid of it, you can throw it away. You haven't wasted a whole lot of materials and time and money, but you can get a sense of where you're headed with your design. Especially, this is especially good if you're like me and you're doing such architectural work.
I
So,
I was just gonna say I'm doing this fold forming class right now, and I've taken, I've taken Charles Newton Brain. I've done a
yeah,
lot, and we're starting with basics. But since I have more, time under my belt doing it, I can push, a little bit further. And one of the things that the teacher always, he just has Post-it notes, and when
yeah,
you're folding, that is a great way because you can really see, what if I slide here? And that's one of his favorite questions. What if I just change one
yeah,
thing? And
yep.
that's something like I say, I often find I need to remind myself to do that, right?
So what
Because
to ask the one in,
I sort of have a linear thinking of what I usually do. So just
yeah.
this discussion is really, it's like the impetus to, turn on the flame there and go, okay, up it, so this is
I
good.
I would be super stoked if you all sat for even 20 minutes tonight and just drew stuff. And you don't have to be good at drawing to do that kind of work. Just sketch. I'm not very good at drawing. You've seen my terrible sketches. Um, just just put what's in your brain from this spark, if there's any spark today. Just put some stuff down. And I will remind you what I tell my students in workshops, which is my strong recommendation is that you be drawing in a hardbound sketchbook, so you're less inclined to tear the pages out and scrap them. And don't don't ruin a picture. Like, just put an X through it if you don't like what you did, because there might be the hint of an idea still in there that 6 months from now you come flipping through and you're like, I still really like that basic shape. What didn't I like about it? And you go further with it the next time. And I also encourage just putting month and year of every drawing that you put in there, because then one of the other things, the reason I teach that, especially to my brand new students, is we've all had that, oh my God, I'll never be able to do X. I'm not good enough to do X. And the answer is you're not good enough yet, right? You're building your skills for a reason. It takes time to get there. So you'd be amazed how quickly, if you go back through your sketchbook and look at 6 months ago, you'd be like, oh, I was so terrified of that kind of clasp or of trying to put this kind of stone in something. And then you'll be like, I'm comfortable with that. I just did 3 variations of it. Now I can go back and do that design. By doing that, you get to sort of judge your own growth pattern throughout your sketchbook. And it's sort of freeing to be able to leave stuff in the past. I have my sketchbooks, not quite from when I was a kid, because I wasn't doing a whole lot of sketching, but probably I have some of my drawing books from when I was in my 20s at least. And they make me cringe like crazy. They do. There's so many like young jeweler things that we all do, like the types of necklace, the pendants that we all want to design, and we think we're so fashion forward with it. And there's so many rings of, it's going to be cool if I just offset it this way. The truth is, there's a whole lot more of those elements and ideas in my current work than I realized. Like, I was going back through some of my oldest photos and I see the roots of what I have become and the roots of that texture and that negative space and the forms. And it's really invigorating to realize that you can grow that much. So I hope that you don't look at the, like, I feel like I've been doing a lot of sort of philosophical ramblings about my own process. I hope that in the long run, you're not feeling pressured to find a voice, but if you want one, that you can keep actively seeking it. And my active seeking is not about like, oh my God, I'm stressing, I don't have a true voice. It's about self-reflection, about looking at the work that I have made and what I do and don't like about it, what does grab me, what doesn't, and sort of saying, what piece of this do I want to keep integral to the next piece I make? In my case, it took till about 10 years ago to go, texture is critical. Texture is at the heart of what I do. It took till about, when did I make that first big hollow form piece? Probably 2012, 20, no, it must have been 2017. So I would say it's probably been about 8 years since I started really going, I want hollow forms and dimensionality to be critical to my work. But you can see texture is coming in a bunch of different ways. Dimension is as well. I feel like I'm a little stagnant on other ways to do dimension than hollow form, so I need to work on it. It's always a forward momentum. I feel like I should stop there and find out if any of you have additional questions or things that you now want to show off, because you may feel better about showing them off. Or what you got going on, what you think you're going to do in your own studio from here.
Listening to what you have said, it's been interesting in the sense that, like you said, you have your voice, follow it, keep at heart. And I guess because I'm kind of like a little bit of everything, it's kind of hard because, it's just like I always start with my little drawings, my simple figurative drawings. Sometimes they become sculptures, sometimes they become wearable pieces, necklace, or pendant or whatever. And then sometimes I don't want to do anything at all. And I just want to do simple line pieces. And then there's a part of me that's very, I don't even know what you call it, but that modern sort of look, just clean and simple, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like sometimes I'm playing and sometimes I'm serious. So I think it
That's
depends
a
for
good
me.
balance.
Depends for
That's not
me.
a bad
So,
thing.
and when I do
It
shows, it
feels like,
depends on the show too. So sometimes
yeah,
I'm thinking of the shows. So part of me is like, I feel there's a part of me that feels a little lost, but then at the same time, I have my different identities, I feel. So, and then
so
sometimes when people see my work, it's like, you've done all of them? Like, yeah. I don't feel like, I guess I don't feel like what you were feeling about your little branch pieces. It's like,
yeah,
um, I have pieces that I've had forever and I haven't shown, and when sometimes I show it and they sell. And
right,
when people ask me how long does it take, it's just like, it's kind of like a question that, you know, crazy question, because how long does it take, right?
right,
And then sometimes it's like, when did you make it? And then it's like, I've been making this all along, so
right.
there shouldn't be like 1970 or when I first started, because when I first started, I did a lot of beading.
Yeah.
I
So
still
you've been
do
evolving
beading.
your voice. If it wasn't clear, I don't think my voice is done. Like I haven't found my voice in the sense that I'm now locked in. And also, I I like a lot of variety in what I do. And it actually keeps me from getting into some of the top shows because they like people that every single piece is in a large cohesive collection. Um, and I know people who are like that. I can't, I've just got to acknowledge that I can't be that. So sure, one day you want beading and one day you want sculptural work. That's okay. What I would ask is, are there any crossover elements that you can do? This was I think I've talked about a couple people who are helping me look at my own show experience and saying, well, what happens when you merge the elements of your pieces? I'm only part way through that exercise of how do I cross over my collections? And they're called intersections, is what I'm calling them. So the two holoform pieces from my Mokame stuff is part of the intersections work, right? It's combining my work with druzy and chains with my work with holoforms. So what happens when your beads meet your sculpture? That's a next step. And you'll either love it or you'll hate it, is what it comes down to. And I'm
I
never
have
going
done
to
a
be,
little bit.
hopefully, I'm never going to be done evolving. Say again?
Yeah. I said I have done that a little bit where I've
Yeah.
used gemstones where I
Nice.
didn't before. And I think more of
Yeah.
that now that where before wasn't possible. Because I didn't
It's
have the
also a little bit like,
technique.
yeah, but you've been expanding your skill set, which is always going to help evolve your collection. And it's kind of like fashion style, you know, like I'm not a big fashionista by any stretch. I'm the antithesis of it. But what I would have worn in the 80s is different than what I wear today, right? Or what I wore when I was doing more on-site business work for my clients is different than I do now. It's okay for me to have my 1990s era, you know, my branches. That's okay. I loved the collection at the time. It's just not what I'm looking at right now. I'm putting that one aside in favor of some of the other things that I do. Anybody else working on ideas? I mean, is this terrifying? Is this useful? Are you guys going, I'm never going to have a voice? What's the reaction to all of this?
Oh, no, I actually, I had, when I was preparing things, I had a lot of stuff done from classes and from exercises. And then I thought, there were moments where I thought, oh, you know how to do that. Like I was talking to myself.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of moments I have because I am so insecure and so, I judge myself and I have to deal with all that. But that moment, that was great. That was really good. And I didn't care if everything was, it was in a way cohesive, whatever I showed. But going back to what you said about doodling, you said that, right?
Yep,
I
doodling.
had done some doodling, some shapes like the little things. And then I thought, let's put all of them together. And they look so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. We think a little bit modularly as metalsmiths, right? We have to use components. We have to figure out, are we making a setting? So why not take that and abstract it more and think about the design elements as components, not just I have to put a pin back on it or I have to put a bail on it. Yeah, it's great exercise to stretch your brain and not limit yourself to just because that's what jewelry always is.
Yeah, but I'm definite, and I'm sure that the other ladies sometimes think about this. We need some technical things this technical stuff, it's lacking in my work, at least. I mean, I can do something perfect, but then when it comes to the, like you said, you had that necklace there that the bail was too small, remember? Or you thought it was too small. So that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So just know that I've been doing this for how many years now, and I
Well,
still have lots of those moments, right? There's a lot more in my scrap bin of, oh, that's not what it should have been. It's going away. But what happens is you become a better self-curator. Like you self-edit and you decide when the very first time I went, this is not good enough for my work, was a pretty eye-opening moment. It's scary, but being willing to self-critique, and I'm not talking about being down on yourself. I'm talking about being acknowledging that you have set a standard for yourself and you have not reached it. So you're going to do it again until you're happy with it. That's really empowering, right? So work your technique as much as you work your voice. And I'm always in favor of always be trying more than you think you're capable of. The failures will teach you more. We did a lot of that in the Cogswell class, right? The failures will teach you more. And at some point, a switch will flip in you and you'll go, huh, I used to be scared to try things because I was afraid I was going to fail. Now, I don't even think about I might fail because I'm either going to fail or I'm going to not. It's one of the reasons that I show you all so often when I'm doing a repair or a reposition or a fix, right? Because that is part of the craft. It's not the end of the world when you have a fuck up, right? It's a next step. I keep rambling at you guys. Did anybody else have anything they want to share on this?
Well, one thing I would say is that, in fact, the art and craft of making jewelry or working in metal is endless. There are so many techniques. So the time it takes to just get some basics down and then start seeing what is of interest to you. And
Yeah.
and that's just normal, right?
Yep.
So to find that you've delved into quite a few different areas to experiment, and since most of us can't do this all day, every day, we this is how we pursue and develop what is interesting, attractive, and the find ways to answer the what if questions. And
Yep.
I think that's important for everybody to understand for yourself. Like
Yeah.
I can admire beautiful enamel work. I have no interest in enamel. I could care less about glass that way. On the other hand, I love stones, and so just learning about the different materials and those kind of things. So that's where, especially when you're doing this for yourself, and even if you do a few shows, I mean I've I always have felt that there's if you do this because you love it, then you can do what you want to do. If you
Yeah,
make it a
absolutely.
business, then half of your time is going to be spent on the business. And then you have to take a different mindset because, as you said, like sometimes you put your stuff before a jury and they want to see your voice in every piece. And other places
Yeah.
are like, oh wow, she can do so many different things kind of mentality. So I think we all need to recognize that you could, from day one till the end, there's so many things to learn, and you're not going to perfect them all. You take the pieces, like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to engrave. I'm out of practice with a graver, but I'd like to get back to the place where I clean up a bezel. So
Yep.
that's part of this, and that's part of finding your voice, I think.
I've told y'all over and over again, the perpetual student is the life I want to lead. I want to be a perpetual student and a perpetual teacher, because it's cyclical, and I am a better teacher when I am also being a student. So the more you can take in, the more you can pick and choose your techniques. It's another reason that I also tell you to take workshops on the same topic from multiple people, right? Because you're going to get different points of view, and you may have hated it using person X's technique and then discover the brilliance of it using person Y's technique, right? So whatever you can do to keep engaging your brain in the creative process, go, go, go. Renee, yeah, you've been quiet. I don't know if that's because you don't have anything to share today, or if we've all been talking. Do you have anything you wanted to add to the conversation?
No, not yet.
Okay. I hope that you find a little bit of that creative back in wherever the torch is. And I am going to say that our next session, we're still on a third Wednesday, which puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, the 21st of May. It'll be a nice late spring kind of time. And I may actually be able to get back to doing the hinges enough that I'll have the big piece together. I'm hoping to. And I know we had a request to do a cradle hinge at some point. I have not yet figured out. I think I have a half finished version of the John Cogswell bracelet with that hinge in it. I may just try to finish that up on screen to show the cradle hinge. Yeah, I've got a show in a week and a half in Oregon. So if you're in Portland, Oregon, not this weekend, but next, come see me. You'll see me demoing on Sunday morning that new technique I've learned for patterning mokume, which absolutely, if you can, take a class from Ann Wolf. She's amazing. And I'll be showing for the whole weekend. My clasps class in Portland did get moved out to August. The scheduling was just too tight with other things. And I've got my other workshops that are virtual up on the website if you want to go looking at it. Otherwise, make some beautiful art, bring back some drawings, go find a stone and conceptualize, even if you don't put it on paper. Organize your studio if that's what it takes, whatever keeps you moving.
I have a question.
Sure.
Did you take the mokume class from making the billet and just the whole process?
I have taken classes in making the billet. I took those with Chris Pluth and Jim Binion, who are wonderful instructors. Anne does teach classes in billet making. They're usually smaller classes because it can get pretty intense and it takes two-person teams to do with the technique she shows. If you're looking for a torch-fired billet, because the ones that Anne and Chris and Jim teach are all kiln-fired, Eric Burris, who is now based out of North Carolina. He's now for what is the school there? He's the studio manager or something over at
Penland.
Pocosin.
no
Penland.
Pocosin, however it's pronounced, Pocosin Art. Yes, thank you.
No,
And
I
he
don't want
teaches-
that. I
You
took
don't want
one.
kiln-based and torch-based?
No, I took one with kiln base, but
Mhm.
I don't have that
It's a lot.
patience.
It's a lot of work. Right.
No
So you don't
way.
have to make your own billets. You don't have to. You can
You-
buy the billets
Yeah,
and then do the patterning yourself.
that's
And there's
right.
lots of different techniques for patterning. I learned the grinding techniques. I learned the filing techniques. I didn't have the patience for those. I absolutely adored Anne's chisel cut techniques. And I'm going to be using them going forward. I'll probably use the other techniques interspersed, but my primary method of creating my own patterns will be her techniques.
And what? What's her
Ann
last
Wolf,
name?
like
Oh, okay.
WOLF.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's based out of California, I think, but she teaches a lot of places. So,
Okay.
yes, go adventuring, people. Go adventuring in your studio, outside your studio, in your favorite park, with your favorite mug of beverage. Just make art or prepare to
Okay.
make art. Or plan
Thank
to make
you.
art.
Great
I'll talk
advice.
to you all in a month.
Thank you.
Thank
Rachel.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Be
Thank
well.
you,
Night,
ladies.
everyone.